So when we're talking about bots, how do they make money?
So there's kind of like a multi-level thing going on here. There's the companies who run them and they kind of sell their services to different people, whether that be companies trying to sell their products, whether that be to countries trying to spread propaganda.
Hey, I'm Ikra, and this is What's in the World from the BBC World Service. Let's be real, the comments section can be a bit of a wild west. You never know what you're going to get there. Some of the most popular comments can be bots. And let me tell you, we've definitely had a few bots in our comments too. And maybe bots can even create a viral moment. Recently, the singer Chappell Roan faced some backlash online after her bodyguard apparently left an 11-year-old fan in tears. It turns out the security guard wasn't actually working for her, and now there are reports that the whole thing could have been driven by bots designed to spread hate and misinformation. So in this episode, we're going to find out how much of the content we see online could be bots and who could be behind them too. Okay, so let's find out a bit more. The BBC's disinformation reporter, Jackie Wakefield, is right here with me. Hey.
Hey.
Okay, so Jackie, we're going to chat about Chappell Roan in a bit. But first, we got to get into the definition of a bot and bot farms. What are they?
So a bot is just a non-human, so a robot, non-human activity. As for a bot farm, when I first learnt this, I kind of blew my mind. In essence, it's just a rack of smartphones which are programmed to post on fake social media accounts. So what happens when someone runs a bot farm is they just have a rack of phones and all of those phones are posting all at once, usually hundreds, sometimes thousands of phones.
So when you're talking about all these different phones that are programmed together, how is that actually looking in practice? Is it a person that's doing that or?
Yeah, so typically a person can create a program that they put into all the phones, which then allows them to post. So this has sort of been changing a lot in recent years. So at the start, it would have been someone, having to maybe create the content and then send that to the phones for them to post. Then it became more easy with AI to have the phones come up with their own content or the machine learning algorithm to come up with its own content to then post on social media. So now there's a lot less human intervention.
Yeah, you touched on it a bit there, but can we find out who is running these bot farms and bot campaigns, I guess?
So yes, sometimes. And there have been many occasions where researchers have been able to find out who's running the bot farms. So there's kind of like a multi-level thing going on here. There's the companies who run them and they kind of sell their services to different people, whether that be companies trying to sell their products, whether that be to countries trying to spread propaganda, or whether that be to celebrities or PR agencies trying to kind of change public opinion. But that being said, it's not always that easy to detect. Sometimes we can say that there is a bot farm, but it's really difficult to know whether that is just a random bot, a random group of people trying to make some money, or if there is something a bit deeper going on.
So when we're talking about bots, how do they make money?
There's a few ways they make money. So either you set up a bot farm and you use it to just drive traffic. So you make money off the typical social media monetization pathways. The second is through online scams. So getting people to click through to products or phishing links where you scam them. And then the third way is people hire out their bot farms to other companies, countries, or people or influencers to sell their services to sway public opinion.
And getting to the situation with Chappell Roan, what exactly happened there? What do we know happened there?
Okay, so there was a bit of an online scandal. I'm not sure if you saw it. So in essence, what happened was a Brazilian football player posted about his stepdaughter who walked past Chappell Roan's table. The security guard cornered her, told her not to bother her. Chappell Roan wasn't aware. Anyway, it caused like a massive firestorm over whether or not, everywhere, whether or not Chappell Roan was mean to her fans, whether she was mean to children. And there have been a few things before where Chappell Roan has, told off paparazzi, asked fans not to approach her. So that kind of dialogue has been going on for a little while.
And Chappell Roan, in response to the incident, said she felt sad for the child and added that she hadn't been aware of the incident and it didn't involve her own personal security. It later turned out that the security guard was actually working for someone else.
What happened in this case was a research company called Goodea They've also previously looked at Taylor Swift and other celebrities as well. But they looked at the posts, about 100,000 posts generated about this Chapel Rowan's football player daughter scandal. And they did find that bots contributed significantly to the online discourse. What they found was it was only 4% of users they thought were bots, which were contributing to the discourse, but they accounted for 23% of the posts. And most of the posts that they thought were originating from bots were the ones that were stirring up more hateful comments, misinformation, and kind of trying to like spread lies and spread, I guess, like a bit of dissatisfaction about Chapel.
But what's in it for the bots? Like, why do we get these pile-ons from bots?
It's really strange because it could be a couple reasons, especially in the case of Chapel Rowan, who is one of maybe the more... She's out and loud about some of her opinions, and a lot of people disagree with some of those opinions, I guess. So the first one is it could be people, countries, or organisations that disagree with some of her more outspoken thoughts and opinions. That's one possibility. The other possibility is it could just be for money. So we know that a lot of commentators, influencers talk about celebrity culture. It's very possible that the bots are just piling in because this is the popular topic of the moment, and therefore they want to drive traffic to their own profiles and make money through that way. But also it could be people trying to sway public opinion against Chapel Rowan. It's really hard to say at this stage, and it comes to that whole idea of attribution is really difficult.
So we've got a situation where social media is full of bots, but people use social media to talk to actual people, and that's not necessarily what they're getting. So what are the social media companies doing about this?
So they are doing some things. So everyone's probably clicked on the I'm not a robot capture box. So that's one step that social media companies have taken. And then there's sort of like purges of bots that social media companies have done. In 2014, there was like a really famous like Instagram purge where all of a sudden a lot of celebrities' followers halved and a lot of activity on the website went down.
I remember that.
Do you remember? And it was like a very like gossipy moment of like, okay, he's hired bots to follow
He mostly
them.
had bots in their followings.
A lot of influencers struggled that day. So what happened there was just like the company came up with a way to sort of detect like that bot activity, like people who didn't post, people who logged on at random times. So I've been flagged as a bot before on Depop, which is like a vintage reselling app for clothes. Apparently my activity was irregular and that I was using the app too much. Sorry. And that's kind of like a way that social media companies also monitor it. However, they have been criticised a lot that they're not doing enough. So researchers from the University of Notre Dame analysed the AI bot policies of the main social media platforms and did find that pretty much on all of them they could get through by programming bots to get around these captures and other monitoring techniques.
Yeah. Just saying that, I can totally relate. I've been flagged as a bot
Have
before,
you?
not on Depop, but when trying to get concert tickets. And I think when it's...
Yes.
I've been on the website for too long refreshing and it thinks I'm a bot.
It's so classic.
You keep joining the queue, you must be a bot.
I was putting in offer after offer on the skirt and I think they were like, this can't be a person.
Yeah. So if someone's listening and thinking, well, how do I protect myself from these bots then? How can we tell who is a bot? What would you say to them?
AI now, the quality of these bots and what they post, it's really good and it's really hard to distinguish it from real people. However, there's like a few tips and tricks. So the first is, are they posting all hours of the day? Because that probably indicates they're not sleeping, which probably means that there's some fake activity going on there. The other one that I like to look at is, does the country that the account originates from, does that not quite line up with what they're posting? So, for example, if they say like they're a USA patriot, but they're based in Sri Lanka, that's just a flag. It's not necessarily, oh, that's a bot, but it's just something to look out for. And to be honest, just like a general rule that I use for myself, particularly on platforms like TikTok, where typically the video is human generated, but the comments will be flooded with bots. Often what I do is just think about what I think about the content of the video before I open the comments, just to make sure that, you know, you're not being swayed constantly by what other people or non-people are telling you to think. And then lastly, it's just to Google it and check if what you're seeing is misinformation or disinformation.
Jackie, I'm going to keep those in mind next time I'm having a look at the comments section. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us today. You know what to do for this episode. Make sure you comment below, like and subscribe. Speaking of your comments, I wanted to shout out Aidan, who left a comment on our episode about whether social media is making Christianity cool. He said, please give us more content like this. Aidan, I really hope you're not a bot, but for now, I'm Ikra. This is What in the World from the BBC World Service. I'll see you soon.